This is a video about diagnosing your shutoff valves, in particular these gate valves. If you're watching this video, you might have a couple of problems. You might have water coming from here. You might not be able to open this. It might be completely shut. Or you might not be able to completely shut it. So water is still flowing. You might have to do plumbing downstream and you want to shut this off. Or something keeps dripping. You're trying to drain a boiler or something in my case. So this video is a quick video on how to troubleshoot and a couple of tricks to see if you can get it to work without replacing it. If you do want to replace it, then you might want to consider a ball valve. Ball valve, as you can see, lets the water through. It's only a quarter turn. This is not a quarter turn. You have to turn it several times to get a gate to shut, and that's the ball valve shut. That makes a perfect watertight seal, and that won't allow any more water. If you do work on your old plumbing and try to get it to fix, it's always good to have a backup plan. Get one of these and be prepared to solder it on. They also have compression fittings, which I don't have right now, but that makes it so that you don't have to solder. And there's also shark bite, which you just push it on, and then a rubber O-ring will keep a watertight seal and it'll clamp down on that. So that's easy for you to do. But if you're going to try to fix one of these, make sure you know where your water shutoff valve is for your whole house, in case you get a leak or something and you can't shut it. So this video will show you how to fix a leak coming out of there. Potentially, if you can disassemble some of these, you might be able to replace the washer and the screw that holds it in, which makes a watertight seal. Most of these that look like this are going to be gate valves. It's not really a user serviceable part in there, and what it does is this sometimes disengages with the gate. Sometimes a bunch of stuff gets stuck in there and prevents it from shutting all the way. There are a few easy tricks, so we'll take a look at these today. In my problem, I have one that's a drainage valve for my boiler, and it's not shutting all the way, it's dripping. So in that case, I'll replace the washer. And then there's other gate valves that lead to that I would like to be able to shut off. So I'm going to try to figure out how to get those moving. And I have a couple of washers, packing washers, WD-40, and of course tools. Tools like an adjustable wrench. You'll take this off, whatever tool you need to take off the wheel, and then try to clean that up and see if we can get that working. So here you have a ball valve. This is for the shut off. You see it has the stop there, so it goes this way. And now there's no water coming into the house. In my case, the lowest part of the house is this boiler drain. So I'm draining, connected my garden hose, and it's leading to a floor drain. Your situation may vary. While I'm at it, I'm going to see if I can work on that one as well and see if there's not a washer or something in there, or some kind of corrosion that I can help to make sure that this shuts off completely. Okay. With the water turned off, I'm going to drain all the water from this pipe. First, I'm going to see if I can repair this valve, because this is the problem. This one doesn't work either, but if I can get this one to work, then I can get water to stop feeding this boiler, so I can work on that leak. You ever have a problem where the handle, the wheel, keeps spinning? It could be because this part, which is supposed to be square, has been rounded out. In that case, you can replace these handles so it's square. It's more of a problem if the stem itself has been rounded out. You ever have a leak coming from around here, you can try just tightening the packing nut. It should have packing washer around it, or some other kind of packing which will prevent water from coming from here out that way. If the valve is stuck, you may find just loosening this a little bit will allow you to move the valve again.
It's always good to have assorted washers and O-rings and things on hand. If you're going to be messing around with any of these old faucets or these old shut-off valves, you're going to need replacement packing washers, and other kinds of washers.
Alright, now with the water on, you can see that I have no water coming down here, which means that this valve is working. I was able to do that. Looks like I got another leak I got to take care of. I was able to do that by taking this off, taking the wheel off with this screw here, because that square section of the stem is getting rounded. So if you try to turn it and turn it and turn it, it might just break off. The other thing I did was I got rid of the packing under here, under the packing nut, replaced it with the new packing washer. That's just a little bit of pipe dope just to lubricate the threads. It's the washer that's actually stopping water from coming down here. And then I was able to use pliers to move that stem all the way down, all the way back. And what that does is it moves some of that gunk out of it, so it's able to turn, it's able to connect with the gate, and was able to completely shut. And this one here I did something similar. This one I didn't take the wheel off. All I did was remove the packing nut, clean it up a little bit, move the stem back and forth, all the way out, all the way back, and that looks to be working. So this is one I was suspected I had problems with. This drip tells me that this one isn't really closing too well, but I used a adjustable wrench to turn this part here counterclockwise so I can get access to that. Wow. So that's where the water comes in here and then goes that way when this part opens up. The problem is this washer is pretty bad. It isn't being shut all the way, but if I can get this to be shut, so that looks like a clear example for using the reseater tool to clean that seat and then replace this washer. So I'm going to use this reseater tool that has this grinding wheel. They have different sizes, and this part here just fits in pretty much anywhere with these sizes. And then hopefully you put it in there. This helps to hold it square a little bit. In this case, don't have much room. And then I turn it to grind that seat. So you can see there it's a little shinier. That's because I ground down just a little bit. I want to make it so rough that the washer doesn't connect with it with this grinding wheel here. Moved it around. So now I got to change the washer so when this closes all the way, it will make a watertight seal against that seat. See, it's probably this one here. Probably, maybe a little bit bigger actually. Hopefully I have the size. Might be this size. What do you think? Probably can't salvage that screw. Might not even be able to screw it with a screwdriver. So I sprayed it with a little bit of that, see if it can work its way into that metal. See if I can get the screw off. Chipped away at that. There we go. And I'm going to chisel this one out. And then the pick will help. might just fall apart. But yeah, see, they get so thin, no matter how hard you try to close it, it doesn't make a watertight seal. So then you find a replacement that fits. You put the washer in there. I don't like this raised lettering. I don't want it to make some kind of mess up. So I like to use the flat side. That's a better fit right there. That's it. Doesn't have to be too tight. Just has to make a watertight seal. I clean the threads here a little bit with a scraper. That's a lot of junk in those threads. Good use case for pipe compound, pipe dope. Years and years and decades of buildup of minerals. This is just to lubricate the threads. Okay, that should not leak. I should be able to move this valve now. By the way, this power is off, just so you know. I'm not working around a live wire with water, near water. That would be extremely unsafe. This boiler is out of service completely. There's no power going to it. I also have to say that you have to be careful because these old valves and faucets need a little bit of convincing, and large wrenches, you have to be careful not to break something. So just use your best judgment. I also had to tap this a little bit to get it loose. Rust penetrant spray, and then I'm going to put pipe dope around this when I put it back so I can make sure that it's lubricated. So this is the whole stem. It's almost about time. Not quite. And in here I'm going to take a look at the washer. If the washer is worn out, as I expect, it's probably covered with all this stuff, then I'm going to carefully remove that screw, replace the washer with the appropriate size, and then replace any other washers I see. So this is a bonnet or packing washer. Scrape that out, put a new washer in so it pushes up against here and makes a watertight seal right there. Nothing watertight about that right now, but and then that'll compress against the stem and also compress against here, keeping water from coming out into here to the stem and then out here. And then this gets sometimes rounded off. Luckily this doesn't look too bad. But if the wheel gets rounded off, you can replace the wheel. Incredibly, this thing is still draining. The washer in this case isn't too bad, but since I have it open, of course I'm going to replace it. I'm going to carefully remove that screw, replace this washer, and then I'm going to kind of clean up inside there with the faucet reseater tool. So this is basically just a little grinding disc, and what you're doing is it's mostly just grinding away corrosion, all this stuff that builds up in there, so that a washer, even if the washer isn't that bad, it won't make a seal and it won't stop. So when you try to shut this faucet off, it will never shut off. It'll just continue to drip. So you use this. I have another video detailing this. This part is not threaded, it just slides. It's for different sizes, different size openings, and it will just fit. It will just fit in there, so that mainly so that you just hold this level and centered in there, so that it grinds perfectly flat and not at an angle because you want this washer to be able to make a watertight seal. All right, so basically you've got the seat in there, deep in there, and then this is going to grind at it. You just put it in, put this all the way up to there, and then you just take this handle, you just keep it perpendicular, and just grind a few grinds. The idea is to make the seat smooth. You don't have to grind it down too much, just trying to make it smooth. So this is the new washer. I replaced the screw as well. So it's got a brass screw that comes with some of these washer kits. Hopefully this isn't too thick. It's definitely the right width. So now this will be able to make a watertight seal, and this should shut off and it should never drip anymore. So then the idea is to get packing washers around the packing nut so water doesn't come this way. So let's get this back in there. So that's where it screws in. Screws in like that. And then this is where the handle will be. Now it's basically in the open position now. Okay. And put a little pipe dope on that just to smooth it out. So I don't know if these will work, but this washer is actually not too bad. So I'm going to leave that. It looks like it actually might have been replaced. There's a washer around here. There's a conical space in there. So I'm trying to use this cone washer. We'll see if it works. It might be too big. If it's too big, then I'll just get a flat washer that's its width, because this is going to tighten down on that anyway. And this is the handle. This can move, and it has a packing nut in it as well. So this needs to be able to move freely still, so I might have to make adjustments. So this screw isn't too bad, and this is not that rounded off, there, so I'll just put this back on. You might have to sometimes spray, when I was putting the washer on, spray a little WD-40 into the threads just to lubricate it. You don't want the threads to strip or the bolts to snap. And this, tightening this is just to make sure the handle doesn't get loose. That's all that does. Okay, this can still move. Well, this is tight. Alright, so if it starts to leak out here, you can tighten this, and then that packing nut will compress up against this part here, and then this is tight, so no water should come out of here. Remember, water comes out of here, you tighten here. Water comes out of here, you can just tighten the packing nut. And then with the washer on the new smooth seat, this should never drip again, and you should be able to completely shut off the water. So as you can see, this moves freely, but it's also watertight. So this is open right now, so still got water draining. It's hard to believe. So let's shut this off, see what happens. Alright, perfect. Just a little drip inside there.
Can't really see it, but that
washer is now perfectly closing the faucet and closing the valve. So sometimes you don't have access to that washer, and sometimes it's just a gate valve and you have to move the valve back and forth, get some of that corrosion off of there, like I did up there on the other valve. And in this case, this was a perfect repair.